thought I'd say a few things about what I believe is going to happen in the next 10 years. And what I'll tell you is I have no idea. Things are not going to get better. Remember, we have a country that's murdering their own neighbors by the tens of thousands. And then we have another country that has been murdering its neighbors in the tens of thousands for, since 2022? It's the Russians. I'm not going to tell you what side I am of either one of these murderous operations, but and in the meantime, the so-called intelligent, well-organized, democratic people of the United States, Europe, and the West in general are standing by and actually trading with both countries that are doing this murdering. And what that means is that we may not realize it yet, but the people in charge of making money for themselves, and if we're lucky enough to be standing near, we can get a whiff of it, enough to make ourselves comfortable if we're really lucky, mostly not. But these people are not allowing anything to be done about this because it's going to disrupt their flow of money and flow of power, but basically money, which is just their power. And so the politicians within the European Western system, both in the Western hemisphere and the Eastern hemisphere, are doing what their bosses tell them to do, which is allowing this to continue. There are no people out there that want to stop this. There are a few loud spokesmen who oppose it. And then there are other loud spokesmen who claim to oppose it, and as soon as they're told by everybody, hey, yeah, you go out and fix it, we're ready for you to do that. As soon as they try to do that, they succumb to temptation, or maybe they're just lying in the beginning and had no intention of doing any good for anybody. And this person, this latter person that I'm talking about, is Donald Trump and his gang, who claim to be the guys that are going to come in and smash the system and reform it, push it back into normality. And the people on the other side of that, in the former situation, are people that have no idea how to solve the problem, or the most likely thing is they're going to get killed, or they're going to get moved away, they're going to be silenced. And the crazy thing about that is, I'm talking about people like Charlie Kirk, Snowden, people who have sung out when they saw the white whale and paid the price for it. Then the other thing that enters into this mix is the internet and AI and all that other stuff, all the technical stuff, and the realization that most of the people that are in control of the world now, and ridden or driven, steered by the United States, people in charge of them and those, are psychopaths and sociopaths, either because that's what kind of people go to the top in corporate America, or That's just the nature of the beast, or maybe it's just an accident that we ended up with so many of them. We didn't end up with people like Marshall and Eisenhower and Roosevelt and people like that. We ended up with people like Zuckerberg and Musk and the Australian guy, Ackerman and Altman and all of the Allman and Altman and those people are sociopaths and psychopaths. They don't, and I think in general, I don't want to label them too strongly because most people, studies have been shown that most people really don't give a crap if you're killing other people if they don't know those other people. As a matter of fact, the test is often shown where people will push a button to cause somebody pain in the other room while they're watching them go through the pain. If they don't know them, they're far more eager to do that, even though it might be immense amounts of pain. So that's human nature, to be somewhat pathological in that sense. You don't mind it. Well, you have some sympathy if they're killing people that you don't know, but you can identify with them somehow, like their children or their babies or their, your race, or they look like you. You're a little closer to their, feeling guilty about them dying or whatever. But generally, human beings have only sympathy and empathy for those that they're familiar with, that are around them, that look like them, that are like them. So we establish laws of civility so that you don't go into another country and shoot them just because you want some bubble gum off the shelf, and they're in your way of getting it. Normally we carry those values, those ethical values, wherever we go. So in terms of the oligarchs who and I know I'm tired of hearing about the elites and the oligarchs and the wealthy and the billionaires and all, but that's what we have to deal with. They're far more dangerous and insidious lot than they were. The last group of them, the Vanderbilts and the Morgans and the Rothschilds, etc. A lot of them are still around too. Speaking of Rothschilds, but they're a lot more psychotic than they were in those days. Carnegie set up libraries. The Fords have done a great deal of work in the Ford Foundation for humanities, stuff like that. There are a lot of Jewish humanitarian organizations that have done a lot of good in the world. But in general, sucking all of the wealth out of the planet, which is what our government has allowed these people to do, not only our government, the Western governments in general, mostly in the United States, however, because we're the blood that makes all this stuff run. We have allowed these people, who are extremely dangerous because they have a lot more technical knowledge than their forefathers did. They're pre-numeraries, the people who used to command economics, and such as I said, the Rothschilds, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, the Morgans, the Chases, the big, the Astors, go on and on. The lords and ladies of Great Britain, who did all this stuff in the past. These people nowadays, first of all, they have more than contempt for the common unwashed masses. They have a certain cynical view of them that they can be used to furnish them with the empire they would like to continue to build. and they're a lot more capable of insidious invasion of human beings' privacy to the point where it's going to be gone. Our privacy is going to be gone really, really soon. Probably already is, in that people like Ellison could probably find out your name right today, and because he handles Oracle and has all this data about you, with the cooperation of Microsoft and the cooperation of Palantir and the cooperation of the security apparatus, he can probably find your name, your social security number, your bank statements, your bank accounts, your porn history, your sexual history, your medical history, what you like, what you don't like, what you do when you're sitting on the pot. Not a very happy scene to even have to picture, but my point being that these people have absolute power because they have now absolute knowledge. And I don't see us doing anything to prevent that from continuing. If they do unemploy everybody because of AI, which I frankly doubt, I think it's a big bubble scam. I think it's going to fall apart pretty soon. And this is late 2025 right now. It's December. But if it doesn't fall apart and they get to use it for really what they want to use it for, which is control of humanity, we're doomed. It's going to take a lot of violence to dig us out of this hole, because they still keep us divided by issues that don't matter, or issues we really can't do anything about. You cannot legislate morality, and the only kinds of legislation that the apparatchiks in the Democratic or Republican parties can offer us is morality legislation. For instance, abortion or flag burning or free speech issues or identity issues or whatever it might be. They cannot offer solutions to economic problems because they don't work for us. They work to manipulate us. As Chomsky once said many years ago, they're manufacturing consent. That's what they do, so that they can maintain power. That's why we've had no major antitrust efforts in the last 40 years. That's why we have an immense amount of people that cannot live from paycheck to paycheck. That is why we have the destruction of families, the destruction of black culture, the destruction, really, frankly, of white culture, in different ways, to each his own, to make the black man useless in his own home, to make the white man frustrated and pictured as a violent, drunken idiot by the women who rule, to have the women who rule support getting us into wars with ancient cultures that don't respect women the way our women, our educated women, think they should, and so they need to destroy that culture. And they need to use American men to go over there and kill people to get that culture changed. That's Afghanistan. That's actually a big selling point for a war in the Middle East. If that surprises you, it disappointed me. It didn't surprise me, but the more I look at things, the more cynical I am about them. I'm 75, so I'm on the way out. I certainly talk and think more about the past than I do about the future. Even as an American, Americans look toward the future as a birthright, even as a habit, even, and I don't do that anymore because of my age. My point being about my age is that whatever's going to happen, And whatever is, frankly, is what's happening right now. I can't, I don't know, and I cannot predict what's going to happen. But I can tell you that it has never been this so volatile, so dangerous. We've never had such great opportunities that we do now with instantaneous information being available. Instantaneous knowledge is available to all. And with AI, the short AI that I use now, I can ask the AI to, I can read the 5 top error codes from the mysterious Microsoft failures that I have and ask it to come up with a conclusion as to what it thinks might be the common problem with my computer. Now, this is something that Bill Gates never bothered to deal with at all. So whenever your computer would go nuts on you, you'd get some kind of error code 404 or whatever it was. Had no idea why it even produced an error code for you when it stopped your computer or messed around with your stuff. You don't even know. To give you an error code, maybe psychologically made people feel like they were getting something helpful, but they weren't. So those error codes, when you go into the computer now and you have a certain bug report that you can get information out of it. You can feed that into your AI, and your AI can come up with some pretty great ideas about what's wrong with your computer. That's never been done before. So that's probably true with cars and all other technical devices. So in that sense, AI is a benefit to us. I don't think it's going to take everybody's jobs. I don't know, but here's the part about this that scares me is if it did, and if we were going down that road right now, why aren't we proposing programs, and why aren't our politicians proposing programs to deal with that, to plan ahead? One guy, Yang or whatever his name was, had this idea, we'll just pay people off, we'll pay them $1,200 a month to go away. Well, you can't have human beings that serve no use and have no purpose and have no job. Doesn't work well. People go nuts without purpose. And I won't separate it into 2 categories of men. Men need to be useful. If they're not useful, ultimately they off themselves because they're not useful. A few of them are so afraid of death that they don't bother with that. They let the Lord take them. Women are different because they have their friends and they have their social occasions and stuff like that. They don't need to feel useful, although I think ethically most of them do want to feel useful. They don't need to, but they do want to. And the difference is that they form the Women's Auxiliary Fooding Society or Medical Society or Care Society or Puppy Society. They take care of something, they organize something, they're very good at that kind of thing. Men being somewhat more loners, yeah, they'll do stuff like, create the Masons or whatever, that kind of thing. But getting off the deep end here, but what I'm trying to say is that I have no idea how humanity is going to get out of the situation. We may end up doing something like the Chinese do. They have a few people way at the top of their system, and maybe we already have that and we don't even know it, who govern everything, and they decide. But I think they plan ahead a lot better than we do. You remember they gave away a lease to Hong Kong, I believe it was some 100 plus years ago. And the way they looked at it is not the way the West would look at it. 100 years to them was a very short amount of time. Yeah, we'll let the Brits manage this trading center, this vital trading center into China and out of China, and we'll give them a 100-year lease on it, which they did. But Americans don't think like that. They think that everything is a new frontier. We don't plan ahead for 100 years. Any American does that. They might plan for their retirement, but they don't plan the functionality of their government or their institutions for 100 years. So maybe what we'll end up with is some kind of a directorate. We have one now, but it's not formal. Trump the other day had all of his sycophants and all of his oligarchs in the same room, and he pointed out he had Zuckerberg and he had Musk and he had Gates and he had all of these people. He had some of the idiots from Japan and some of the idiots from Korea, South Korea, and Great Britain and Australia, and all these people sitting in the same room, and they're all the ones who, play around with Formula One racing and invest in that kind of shit. And I don't think they had any Germans there or any Europeans, essentially. But a lot of people were hanging around that table, and it was essentially an informal, if you will, party congress. The Chinese have the Chinese Party Congress. I think they meet every once in a while, scheduled periodically. And they manage things. They consider what they're going to do, and of course we don't agree that their system should work. But I'm not sure any of the systems work anymore, because ours sure doesn't. People are still going to be trapped in this idea that identity politics, fighting about things that moral legislation. You can't do that because I don't want to, or I don't want you to. It's bad for you. We're in a lot of trouble. I don't know where we're going with it. I wish I had answers. I watch a lot on television to see if there are any real answers out there. But most of the people are in the hustle to get more clicks, get more money from Daddy YouTube and Granddaddy Google. Anyway, I don't know. If I do find out, I will certainly make those proposals here on my website, on my YouTube platform. In the meantime, I will try to make commentary on the more limited universe that I like to talk about, which is generally geopolitics, economics, politics itself, what's going on in Gaza, the murderousness and almost complete insanity of the people, meaning the Israelis, and the heroes that are out there like, what's his name, Finkelstein, who battle against that. And the hero in my mind is Zelensky, and trying to put a stop to what the Russians are doing. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to watch those things, and anything that sticks out that I think needs to be discussed or I need to complain about, I'm going to do that here, and hopefully you guys will listen and be entertained by my intentions, what I'm here to say. Okay. So goodbye and good luck for now. Jesus wept.